There's no basis for it. It's only for the wives. That person is not a wife at all. It's not part of a wife. Open offering is not a wife. She's the only person the person I've said can do money beyond 3 days. Because her own is 4 months and she's the only person. Any other person, even if you are the father, you can't earn more than 3 days. That's what the Sharia says. And if she is money, what money for the woman essentially constitutes under the Sharia is that only that because she cannot remarry. That is essentially what it constitutes. She cannot remarry during that period. And she's encouraged to stay at home as much as possible, except when it is necessary to go out. So the Sharia does not say she must not take a bath. The Sharia does not say she should be looking deceived. The Sharia does not say she should shave her hair. You see, all these Yoruba practices have no basis as far as Ida is concerned under the Sharia. Because she cannot marry, you cannot toast her. Because it is in the Quran of Quran chapter 2 verse 35. Allah says, Aliman lo wa nakum sataskurunahunna. You see some men, they don't mind if somebody is married. They will even tell a married woman, no matter, if not fair, I will settle your husband. So some people have been interested in a woman. So immediately the husband died. It doesn't matter whether it is a Muslim or a Sheikh, it can happen to anybody, and it has happened to so many people. To companions of the Prophet, what they are not allowing you. Immediately the husband died, they will say, Allah has answered my prayer. They have nothing to do with the death of the person. Allah says, He knows you, He was more created. He knows you, that woman you have been targeting. You will be nursing her. Allah says, don't propose to her. And don't conclude marriage with her. But you can talk to her indirectly. When chapter 2 verse 5. And I give you the example of what the Muslims told Salama when she was doing Aida. It's there. Now, part of the post-burial something, inheritance. This is where a lot of people will go to hellfire on the day of judgment, inheritance. That immediately a person dies, the uncles, the aunts, all of them start mobilizing to take the property of the man. It's our son now. And Aslan, under the Sharia, these people are not entitled to anything. This is the reality, they are not entitled to anything. Because only the immediate members of the family are entitled to inheritance under the Sharia. The first of them, the Abaway, the parents. If a man dies, his parents are entitled to his property. Then his wife or wives, then his children. These are the people who are entitled. All other members of the extended family, it is when any of these people is missing, that is when they can become entitled. If the father is dead, if the grandfather is alive, he becomes entitled. Then the uncle can become entitled to the property. But even if the person has, if the son of that person has a son, then the uncle is disqualified. And these are the people dying on the property of a deceased. And they make a lot of offers to suffer for what is their own. Allah has answered them in the Quran. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ يَأْكُلُونَ أَمْوَالَ الْيَتَامَى إِنَّمَا يَأْكُلُونَ فِي بُطُونِهِمُ النَّارَ وَسَيَصْلَوْنَ سَعِيرًا. Because that you are an uncle, you are going to account specially before Allah for what happens to the property of your deceased brother or your deceased sister. Again, under the Sharia, walad and niham. You know, I was telling you about someone who has been divorced. A woman that the husband has accused of committing zina. Under the Sharia, you don't need to accuse your wife of committing zina. If your wife becomes pregnant and you say, I'm not the owner of that pregnancy, that woman stands divorced under the Sharia. But what the Sharia says is that before that can happen, you will take an oath 5 times. Once you take it, it is taken under the Sharia that that woman has committed sin. For her to escape punishment for zina, she must also take the oath 5 times. Then the marriage will come ended. From that moment, even that son or child cannot inherit the father. Can only inherit the mother. So when you are talking of inheritance after death, Sharia has specific regulations. A kafir cannot inherit. If a man gives birth to a child and that child has become a kafir, cannot inherit the man cannot inherit him under the Sharia of Allah. According to all the schools of thought, Mazahib al-Arba, the Walad Zina cannot inherit from the father. The father cannot inherit from the Walad Zina. If a man impregnates a woman outside wedlock, that child cannot inherit. It's not part of his children as far as Sharia is concerned. So the only, if people understand the Sharia, the only loophole under the Sharia where that child can inherit is if the person writes a will not more than 1/3 for the child. But if the person does not write any will, if they want to share the property according to the Sharia, that child cannot inherit. According to the 4 schools of thought, except Ibn Taymiyyah, and I agree with him totally. His argument is that Allah said in not more than 3 places in the Quran, La taziru wa ziratun wizra ukhra. The father should not inherit from the child, the mother should not inherit. Because they are the one who commit the sin. But the child should inherit from them, and that is my mozia. Brothers and sisters in Islam, I wish I have enough time to talk about all these slides. But what I want to say is that even under the Sharia, this is what I just quoted. La taziru wa ziratun wizra ukhra. In verse 38 of Surah Al-Najm. What follows it in verse 39? وَعَنْ لَيْسَ لِلْإِنسَانِ إِلَّا مَا سَعَى وَعَنَّ سَعْيَهُ سَوْفَ يُرَى. Under the Sharia, nobody can bear the burden of another. And a person will only get what he has done. But despite that, our prayers benefit the dead. It's a lie if anybody says prayers don't benefit, it's a lie. And I've shown it here. At every stage, you are asked to pray for the dead because even from the Salah, what is the Salah? It's not prayer. Allah yaghfir lahu wa abuhu wa adkhilhu jannataka jannatan na'im in kana muhsina fatillahu fi ihsanihi wa in kana musian fatajawwaz anhu. You tell Allah, if this is a righteous person, oh Allah, please increase his righteousness. But if it's a terrible Muslim, oh Allah, you can forgive any sin. So how can people say prayer does not benefit the dead? This is part of the common mistake. Yes, if people are doing fidal for 8 days, we want to condemn that. We don't say prayer does not benefit the dead. We need to pray for the dead. Seriously. And one of those people whose prayers goes directly to the dead are the children. If you love your dead, either matter inside, in Kotani wa Malu, illa bi salah. Waladun sali, yedi ulahu. And that is why a Muslim should never pray that any of his child should become a kafir because they will not pray for you and their prayer will not be accepted. So you are totally at loss. Because that is the person whose prayer is guaranteed in the Sharia. What will So our prayer benefits the dead. Our sadaqah benefits the dead. You can do Hajj for your dead mother. You can go to Hajj and tell Allah, this Hajj I'm doing is for my dead mother. It will benefit her. So a lot of this will do benefit the dead, and we must, if we love those people, we must do it for them. Even if a person dies owing Ramadan fast, it is our responsibility to fast those Ramadan fast for the person. If we love the person. ربي أوزعني أن أشكر نعمتك التي أنعمت علي وعلى والدي وأن أعمل صالحا ترضاه وأصلح لي في ذريتي إني تبت إليك وإني من المسلمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. كبر الله كبر الله. Alhamdulillah. But I want to emphasize one aspect of his talk. You know, the English people, or there is a common saying in in the English language that traveling is an education, right? When you travel, you have the opportunity of traveling. The wider you travel, the more relaxed you are about very many things in Islam. If you go to live in the UK today, you will see Islam that you have never seen before. That if you say, come and show me evidence of this, they are not able to show you evidence. Yet, you cannot condemn it. Let me tell you 5 examples. Number 1, there is almost no masjid where Jum'ah is observed in the UK where they do not do 2 Jum'ah on the same day, inside the same masjid. How many times have you seen a mosque in Nigeria where they do 2 Jum'ah on the same day? Where? No, right? So even the biggest scholar in Nigeria, if he never had the opportunity of traveling, he wouldn't know this as a possibility. Why do they have to do that? Because you do not find masajid of the kind of size that we find in Nigeria. The mosques are generally small. Yes, this is the same Islam. Number 2, there is no masjid or jama'ah where they do Eid Salats and they do just 1 Eid Salat. In all the mosques where Eid Salat is observed, sometimes they do 2 Eid, sometimes they do 3 Eid, sometimes they do 4 Eid on the same day for the same reason as the Jummah. Because you cannot do Eid outside in the UK because of the cold, especially if it is in winter. In fact, in all of our years in the UK, I lived 20 years, my wife lived 20 years. It was in our last year that the first Eid observed outside the masjid took place in the UK. Yet, this is the same Islam that we practice in Nigeria. You cannot pray in the outside in the winter of the United Kingdom. That's the same Islam. Number 3. Zakatul Fitri is better given in food produce, in staple food of the community, right? How can you take rice to somebody at home in the UK? You are insulting that person. That you want to do Zakatul Fitri and you are distributing rice and you are taking it to that person. How much is rice sold? That you are going to take rice, you are going to take beans to somebody. Yes, what we know of Zakatul Fitri is that it is better given in the staple food of the community. Yes, this is the same Islam. Our brother spoke about the need for our sisters to observe the Iddah period, and that is Islam, right? In all the years that we live in the UK, I may be wrong, but I cannot remember one sister whose husband died and who observed the Iddah period for the length of time that it should be observed for. Because this is a place where nobody comes to you at home. This is a place where you are on your own. This is a place where if you don't go out to earn, nobody is bringing anything to you, right? Now, when you travel across the world, you understand Islam better and you relax about a lot of things that a lot of the young scholars will be quick to say that this is bid'ah, this is bid'ah, this is bid'ah. I have said it here before, I am repeating it. In all the years I have been doing the hour, the one thing I have not done is to look at one person and say, this is bid'ah. What you are doing is bid'ah, bid'ah, bid'ah. One, my level of knowledge is not, my knowledge is not at that level by my personal admission. Secondly, many things that people have condemned, and we have learned about one of them here today, that once the janaza prayer was done and the recitation was done aloud. That was the first time I was hearing this. So only people who are established, confirmed, certified scholars can accuse people of doing bid'ah, not people who are emotionally driven. Now this is the question, and it's on the subject that we touched about. You know, during the last Ilayah period, Alhamdulillah, I am from Abeokuta, I'm not from Ibrahim. Now, On the day of Ileya in the family compound, wherever I sat, people told me I was sitting on a grave. Then I moved to this place and they said I was sitting on a grave. And I moved to this place, they said I was sitting on a grave. And we found out that everywhere in the house is a grave. And when I observed to our cousin who lives in the family house, who is actually an imam, right? And he had other imams visiting him. And he said to me, most sincerely, he said that the cemeteries that surround us here, that if you put your dead in there is so much fetish practice going on that people go there to exhume the dead. They take the liver, they take the kidney, they take this and that. That this is the only place we can bury our dead and we can be sure that they remain intact. I know that to bury in the burial ground is the recommendation, but then strictly speaking, especially based on the reason they gave me, would anything be wrong in burying at home? That is my question. Number one.
While appreciating the speaker for the job well done, my first question is I want you to clarify what he said about taking corpses from one place to the other, from one city to the other, being haram. I think that word is so heavy that it is an haram. It is haram to take a corpse from one place to the other. Considering what the Amir just said now, do you think it's advisable? Because the majority of people that live in Lagos will prefer to take their corpses home, where they think the corpse will be safe. At least the entire body will be preserved till the day of judgment. That's all. Number two is I want to call the attention of this, the companion and the criterion in particular. And fortunately, they said that we have some people who are members of the Lagos State government here. That last week, the governor of Lagos State, that is Governor Fashola, came to Lekki area, and then he came to a construction that they are proposing to use as a cemetery. I don't want to use this opportunity to tell us that the teaching sign, I think, says 9. We had an experience when we went to bury one of our brothers in EGC cemetery, that they have to be adjusting the body of the brother to face the Qibla. Now that they are going to start the construction, I want a body here, probably a committee set up to meet the government so that they will go there now and tell them this is the Qibla, so that wherever they are going to give the Muslims, that will be considered. One. Secondly, is that there should be a small place as a funeral home where we can have our janaza. I was very impressed with the Muslim community in Houston, that is in the US. They have about 3 funeral homes, standard funeral homes, apart from having a very good standard burial ground. So I want us to see. I've not been to your own. So please, I want us to seize this opportunity now, so that it will not be after the construction that we start talking about it. Assalamu alaikum.
The first question I want to ask is remember with what Arabi has actually said. In my own time too, some of us, we want to build house in family compound. But we discovered that 60% of the portion of the land has been taken over by grace. So the question I want to ask is, can we, in any form or case, in an attempt to create more space, level the place and build over the grace so that we can have development in our compound? Then the second one is this issue of hijab prayer. Even in this setting, some of us feel guilty when we are advising them that nothing like third-day prayer. They feel extremely guilty that we must do this thing for just to honor the dead. So please, what is the Islamic position on this third-day hijab prayer so that we can settle it? By the time we say we don't want it, I think we should actually be contented with the responsibility.
Okay.
I think I should introduce her. She's the wife of the lecturer. And the daughter is around too. And stand up.
Yes.
lecture, though I've seen it, but while it was delivering, it made me feel so bad about the common mistake. I think my brothers and sisters together is a joint mistake that we committed, so to say. And I really wanted to clarify. And I think I want to believe it's a mistake because if a woman dies while delivering a baby, that is referred to as a martyr, right? Am I wrong? Okay. Okay, that's what I've studied, that's what I know. But we lost one of our women in Oyo State. That was 16 years ago. And because the husband didn't want the UCH rituals, ritual part to be taken on her, she died while delivering with the baby inside, with the pregnancy. So now I feel bad that we really touch her, because she's a martyr. We're not supposed to even shoot, do the ritual part. So because we are running away from the UCH stuff, we were called upon to come and do the ritual part. We did, and then she was good. But now that I listen to the lecture, and it reminded us of why martyr should not be touched or not be given back to, then it made me really feel to be allowed to forgive us, and it's really a common mistake that sometimes we just overlook it. These are brothers that scholars too, that we all came together there, and none of us even believe that this woman died while delivering the baby. We are not forgive us. So clarify this, because I'm really feeling so into that we touch a material. Second one is that you said the answer should not be performed again or observed if it has been done elsewhere. When I was studying at IUM, International Islamic University in Malaysia, I know that most of the time we always join the Janazah prayer. For any time there is any Muslim died all over the country, all over around the world, they will come to the mosque and announce the death of maybe a scholar or a Muslim that is popularly known, and they will say, okay, we are going to observe Janazah prayer. We always do it, and I know you always join too. I don't know, now you are saying of Shafi that way, because the Malaysians are Shafi, then maybe that is their belief, but is it a school of thought? That's why we're following them then, because we have to follow what they are doing, because we're there. Finally, can you clarify on the quote, when the husband tells the wife that I'm not responsible for the pregnancy you are carrying, you said there should be the husband should take fine quotes, please, and the wife should also take, I really want you to clarify on that. And finally, some people usually take care of they will choose a place to be buried. I want you, when I die, please, I want you to, this is my grave, yeah. And they will take care of that place, even cleaning it, and, is it around? Thank you. Thanks for the audience.
I'm a Muslim brother converted from faith Christianity, praying for his Christian parents. Then number two, can one say that, okay, I want to do a sacrifice for my dead one, then I prepare food to give you maybe on the third day or the 8th day or whatever. I want to prepare food as a sacrifice for the dead.
I want to join us in participating and brother for the lecture. Mine is about the issue of making sure that people that are around the dead are Muslims. I want to join our brothers and sisters in the medical profession, that they can actually do some ibadah here, especially the nurses. Many of them are the ones that are around the dead when they are about to die. And they should just not see as performing their duties alone, but they should also see it as a way of earning reward. And especially when they have patients on the ward that are Muslim, they should take special care. We have a lot of our sisters really not playing that role as Muslims, and you wonder, and some of them will actually be in hijab. That's one. The doctors too should do the same, and other medical practitioners. The other aspect is about these rights. You keep talking about the UI mortuary and so on and so forth. And I know that in many mortuaries, there are no Muslims there. We need to encourage Muslims to also begin to take up the job of morticians. Because if you are not there, what they do, you do not know. I know what they used to do in my department before we said no. They did not used to allow Muslims to come in. They will say there is somebody who can do it. We will wash it for you until we insisted. And they will even say only one person will enter. So if you are not there, you cannot determine what is done. So this is an area that we should have Muslims. I remember when I was in my South Africa in Abuja, we organized a mortuary training course. The Muslim community there actually sponsored some Muslims that were jobless to come and get trained. And this is one way. This is an area that we really do not look at. We feel that Muslims should not be there, that kind of thing. But I think we should begin to look at this area. So, thank you.
My own question is in 3 areas. One, you talked about the without prayer. Now, which one is more authentic? 3 days or 8 days? That's one. Now, Yorubas, we are in the habit of judging somehow, let me use that word, that okay, I'm not celebrating the dead. But what about in this case that visitors that came from far distance and knew nothing about the areas and they must eat as well too? Then can I just ask some of my friends or relatives to just prepare something in the cooler? Okay, when you get to there, share it for those ones that are not around. That are not from the town. But at the end of the day, virtually everybody will get it if you want. Anyway, so can we count that one as a kind of celebration? So number 2 is a woman warming the dead to their husband. Is there any verified age for that? Because from what I understood nowadays was that the purpose of women warming for that 4 months and 10 days was that maybe if there's any pregnancy before the husband death, the time enough to have shown the pregnancy to come out. But what about a woman of 80 years old? Can we still encourage her to mourn for that period as well too? The number 3 was, it's on the inheritances. As a Muslim, you don't have the right to say, okay, I want to prepare a will. Having considered the circumstances surrounding, maybe when I look at my relatives, the close ones, I think they are close to me. And at the end of the day, because it's happening around, I don't want the people, my immediate family that are going to suffer, to say the wife and the children, that because at the end of the day, but we say, if you say you have the belief that, okay, I want it to be done properly, what about when you are not there, are you so sure that that thing will be done properly? So is it allowed a Muslim to have a kind of way, so to say, that, okay, certain percentage of my wealth or whatever, my belongings should be shared with social area or social people? Thank you very much.
Let me first start by telling our mother from an ark and any other person that is interested in having the lecture to see the Bible and so he already has the soft copy. Secondly, I also want to use this opportunity to thank my beautiful wife of 21st year, Dr. Mrs. Additional Usrah, because she actually prepared the PowerPoints. You know, I'm not so good in such things. So let me thank her for that. Now, going straight to the questions. I will start from the last person. Because that is where I stopped. And that is the issue of preparing a will. Personally, from my understanding of our contemporary situation, I think it is better for a Muslim to have his will with him. Based on the tradition of the Prophet Sallallahu, where he said, Ma'akbu Ibrahim Muslim, lahu shay'un yuksi fihi bi baytin laylatani illa wa wasiyatahu maktuba indahu. Even those scholars said this tradition has been abrogated by Quran chapter 4, verse 11, 12, and 176. Islam said it is not proper for a Muslim that has any property, no matter how little, to sleep for 2 nights in his house without having his will written with him. Now we are told that after the revelation of Quran chapter 4, verse 11 and 12, this became abrogated because in verse 11 and 12, Allah stipulated how everything to be shared. So it is no longer compulsory, but it is still advisable. Why am I saying it is the best? We live in a society where there are so many people, where a person dies without a will and ready to do whatever they like to the property. So it is better for you to write a will and stipulate what Allah has stipulated, how you want the whole thing to be shared, so that nobody will go to court and contest. Today, if you have a child that is a kafir, a Christian, the person can go to court and say, no, they can't share the property of my father according to Islamic rights, because he knows he will be disqualified. And he will win the case. But what I know about writing a will is that once you write a will, and you are sane and everything, then nobody can challenge that will. So it's better to be on the safer side to have your will, so as to ensure that what Allah has stipulated is taken care of. But you must ensure, like I've said, that you don't go beyond what Allah has stipulated. Even though you are allowed to spend 1/3 of your property the way you want. So the remaining 2/3, you have to distribute it the way Allah has stipulated. But 1/3 you can do the way you like. You can donate to anybody. You can give to anybody. You are allowed that Sharia. So you must make sure when you are writing a will, you follow this to the letter. Now, talking about money, it is because of this point that I specifically mentioned it. I said the basic reason why a woman is asked to marry is because she cannot remarry. You remember I said that statement? One of the advantages of Idda is that it will let you know whether a woman is pregnant or not. And that is why the divorced woman is also asked to do Idda. But that is not the primary reason when it comes to money for the dead. That is not the primary reason. Allah in His wisdom knows why it is only the woman. Because if it is primarily because of pregnancy, Allah could have chosen 3 menstrual periods, the same thing for divorce. But in His wisdom, because by nature and by the kind of society we have then and we still have today, it is women that are mostly affected when they lose their partner. We live in a society where we have a lot of women that are just housewives. So by asking them to stay for Idda, the Sharia is saying whether the family likes it or not, during that period they must still continue to take care of that woman. In fact, according to the Shafi'i school, you must take care of the wife of a deceased for a year at least. You must take care of her before you can now say, so it is a safety mechanism to take care of the needs of that woman during that period. So whether the family of the husband like it or not, they can't send her away. It is not